What's going on, you savages? Fight Day live chat. UFC Orlando going down tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern start time for the prelims. We were scheduled for 15 fights. We are down to 14. Obviously, Tracy Cortez forced to pull out of her fight about an hour after she weighed in for the official weigh-ins. I believe that was like nice and early, 10 a.m. yesterday. But I'm not sure what happened. She looked in great condition. I tried doing a little bit of poking around and couldn't really figure out what was going on there. But yeah, she's forced to pull out of the fight. So we got 14 fights, which is still a lot for a UFC card, right? The average is usually about 12 fights, 13 if we're lucky. So the fact that we're getting 14 is still more than enough. So I'm looking forward to the card tonight. It should be a fun time. Before going on live here, I was just wrapping up the tape index, or getting almost halfway done the tape index for Bellator and Risen. That card goes down at the end of the year. I believe it's going to be December 31st. Right before New Year's hits. It'll be on New Year's Eve. 5 fights: Bellator versus Risen, non-title fights. It's weird, but they're all non-title fights against champions of each division, so should be fun. AJ McKee in there as well has a nice matchup, so fun card to look forward to. With the UFC, though, we got 3 events left for the year. This one, 282 next week, and then Cannonier and Strickland end off the year on December 17th. There's a bunch of regional MMA shows, which, if you guys have been following me for a while, know that I am starting to cover now as well, strictly on the Patreon. Link to that in the description below. But LFA, Fury FC, Cage Warriors, which I also believe is going down on New Year's Eve, and what's the other one? CFFC. All of those will be covered over on the Patreon. So shout out to everybody that's over there. All right. This is the Fight Day live chat. And normally for fight nights, I only do 30 minutes. But considering this is a big card, considering the fact that this has been almost 2 months since I've done the Fight Day live chat, I'm kind of surprised as I was looking back at my YouTube channel and seeing it's been so long. But obviously there have been things that have come up, and early cards, all that type of stuff. But I wanted to make sure that I did it for this card. And since it is a fight night card, since it is 14 fights, it's happening in front of a live crowd, I'm going to go the full hour with you guys here, taking all questions, comments, and concerns, and hopefully allowing you guys to get some last minute confidence on some certain spots and see how that goes. All right, let's just get right into the live chat because y'all are already popping in here. So let's just get right into it. My guy DXJC saying, "Ayo, let's kick it off with the big drama show. Thoughts on the most recent developments in the crowd situation?" It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Me and Cody talked about it on Thursday on the Propping You Up show. We went like 15 minutes on it, so I'm not going to spend that long on it. But Ontario obviously banning UFC betting on their legalized sports books or the licensed sports books. Alberta just following suit as well. I believe that came out yesterday. BC and the Atlantic, or the Maritimes, they said that they don't care. They're cool to just continue to offer UFC lines, trusting that the UFC is doing their best of their ability to ensure that there isn't any funny business going on. I wish Ontario was that lenient as well, but here we are. Thankfully, and I'm glad you brought this right off the bat here, DXJC. Thankfully, there are still other outs for us, right? Ontarians, Albertans. If you know, you know. All I'm going to say is look at the link in the description below if you're still looking for a place to place bets. It seems like a lot of people need it based on the amount of traction I got off those links. So if you are still looking for an out for the UFC fights tonight and you were affected by the UFC betting ban, I got you covered. Link in the description below. Check it out. You're welcome. But yeah, hopefully this gets rectified soon enough. I noticed that James obviously got rid of his Instagram account. His Twitter account is still there, but hasn't been active on it since October. And his channel, Discord, all of that stuff is gone. So I feel for the guy. Obviously, you guys know I have a little bit of a relationship with him, but I know he's going through rough times right now. I don't know how this is going to play out. Hopefully, it's not as bad as people are making it out to be, but that's what people like to do. Whenever there is a bit of a scandal, people want to run with it and destroy a person's life. I'm going to continue to give this guy a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Part of me actually believes that it's the guy that he was working with that was kind of in his ear, making him do all this other crazy shit. I don't know. I feel bad. Hopefully it's not as bad as it sounds, but we'll see how it goes. Stani in the chat saying, let's fucking go UFC Orlando. An outstanding card. It is a solid card, my friend. It is a fun card. Very much looking forward to seeing that play out. I personally have, how many bets do I have? I think I have 7 bets, 8 bets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bets. There you guys go. One old school doesn't care about Kraus. I think everybody does at this point in time. This is one of the bigger stories that's ever happened. I know Ariel tweeted it the other day, but like it truly is. Like I even had my mom asking me about this. That is big shit. Like if my mom is asking me about MMA betting, UFC betting, it's big news. It is big news for sure. Just watching in the chat saying I got Ty winning by KO. That fight is going to be all over the place. I want nothing to do with it. I can see it playing out in every which way. The one thing I will say, and this narrative I continue to hear throughout the week, is what does Sergey Pavlovich look like going into the second and third rounds? He's gone the distance a couple times on the regional scene, not to mention one of those times being a 25-minute championship fight, all of which he's won. So I think people might be stretching it based on, Sergey's going to gas out. Do a little bit more research, folks. Look a little bit deeper into it. Steiny's saying, I don't feel bad for Kraus. I feel bad for all the fighters in his gym. Yes, I definitely feel bad for those guys. Jimmy the Drunk saying, Ty getting slept. My prediction agrees with that, but the odds, a little bit too much for me. Aaron in the chat reminding you guys to leave your boy a like. Yes, please do. Untitled New York cards saying, what's good luck? Hope you're all well, Brody. Likewise, my friend. Happy to see you in the chat here. I apologize I haven't been on live in a while, but Fight Day live chats hopefully can make a return for the rest of this year. MMA locker room in the chat. The other big beard in the MMA betting game. Appreciate you stopping by, my friend. He's going in on Schnell at plus 320. I don't hate it. I'm not a big fan of Nicolau at this price tag, but I think Nicolau ends his night. Just watching saying Brian Barberena KO. I do not think so. I think Rafael completely dominates him in this matchup. Standing on the Ducati side, I like her as well. I just want to sit back and see how she competes against a girl like, or a woman, I should say, like Angela Hill before we get ahead of ourselves. Jessica Penne and Angela Hill are two completely different fighters, two different skill sets, and two different levels of competition as well. So let's see Ducati pass that first before we bet her at chalk. If you got around even money or even as an underdog, shout out to you. Minus 140 now. I'm going to just sit back and watch this fight. Papa Chuck in the chat saying happy fight day. Happy fight day to you as well, my friend. Socrates in the chat saying smelling some good dubs here. Most of my picks are same as yours. I love to hear that, my friend. Hopefully we're able to cash some tickets tonight. Paul Brassfield in the chat saying Kraus is looking shady there. Yes. Again, hopefully it works out. One old school is saying Rojo a legit underdog. Just based off of experience and fighting style alone, I think I understand the love for him. I know a lot of people like him in this spot. Marshall, he might end up being too green here. Like from what we saw in the Contender Series, very rudimentary striking game, like just 1-2s, but his athleticism and his speed allowed him to maximize his success in the striking realm. But his best work is done when he's able to blend takedowns behind those strikes. And that's what I think he's going to be able to do here against Rojo. The only bet that I have on this fight is the over 1.5. I got at minus 160. I think, for Marshall to win, this fight is going to have to go deep. And even Rojo, like he has a crazy style and, he gets finishes and gets finished every so often, but his finishes coming in the third round, him getting finished coming in the third round. I think Marshall is safe enough with his grappling that he can push this over that 7.5 minute mark to allow us to cash that ticket. But moneyline perspective, I'd say Rojo is the side just based off experience. Aaron in the chat saying, I parlayed Dawkins, Anders, and Casey Johnson. Both fights don't go the distance. Ooh, I kind of lean the other way for both of those fights, but I could see the possible finish in the Dawkins and Anders fight. I'm thinking Casey just grounds out Johnson for the majority of this, card. Socrates in the chat saying 31 watching, only 3 likes. Let's go, boys. Yes, we're up to 43 now. So that count better be up a little bit more too. Steiny saying I'm rolling with you on Wonderboy. Gotta do it. Plus 150. Gotta do it. My guy Brian Wong in the chat, appreciate you stopping by, my friend, saying Thompson and Holland should be an interesting fight. Wonder Bra has never fought someone like Holland before. Um, I agree, but I'm expecting this fight to play out in the striking realm. And in the striking realm, Thompson is always live. My one qualm and hold up, which is why I'm not going even harder on Thompson in this spot, is the length and the reach of Holland. Poses some questions. If Thompson's durability is off by any means, Holland will capitalize on that. So I don't want to get too invested on the Thompson side. I only took a 1 unit shot on him here around that plus 156 mark. But like I needed that plus 150 before I ended up pulling the trigger here to see the value on this fight. But I think, as long as Holland doesn't go out there and go all Khabib on him, I think Thompson should be fine. Mike Potts in the chat saying, if Pavlovich wins, who could you see his next opponent being? That's a good question. Because that'd be what, a 4 or 5 fight winning streak? Let me pull up the rankings here real quick. All right. Heavyweight. Sergey Pavlovich is number 5. Tai Tuivasa number 4. So the only guys ahead of him, Curtis Blades, Stipe Miocic, Cyril Gane, Francis Ngannou. It's seeming like we're going to get Francis versus Jones next, which to me believes that maybe it'll be Cyril Gane against Stipe Miocic or Cyril Gane versus Curtis Blades. Stipe is a wild card at this point in time. And even if he does come back, I don't see him fighting a guy like Sergey Pavlovich. So we'll have to look past Sergey a little bit further down the line there. Would he fight Alexander Volkov? Maybe. Maybe that's the next guy. Marcin Tybura picked up a big win over Alexander Romanov last time around. Maybe he could fight him. Heavyweight's looking a little barren right now, but we need some movement and some action going on with Francis coming back and finally defending that title. Good question, Mike. Matthias Moran in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by, my friend. L Rob in the chat saying Phil Rowe and Angela Hill are my 2-dog parlay. I'm picking against both of those, only betting against Phil Rowe, though. Good luck, my friend. Gorilla Gambo's in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by, my friend. Paul Brassfield saying, I love DKC by decision and Hermanson parlay. Hermanson, I'm a little bit sketched out by. He is obviously the better fighter here. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know. I'm a little bit sketched out by him for some reason. But I like both those spots. Like in terms of predictions, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Aaron's saying, how does Holland beat Wonderboy? If he decides to go to grappling, right? I don't know if he's that good that he can. Like he's a BJJ black belt, but like in terms of his wrestling, can he consistently get Wonderboy down and hold him down? Maybe. Also, his reach, his length. He could possibly catch Wonderboy at a certain point, especially whenever Wonderboy like blitzes in with one of his attacks. If Holland just kind of stands his ground and throws a counter to that blitz, maybe he can catch Wonderboy and put him out. Chris Lau in the chat saying, where are you betting now? Any reliable sites I can bet here in Ontario? Check the link in the description below, my friend. I got you. Link in the description below. Both those links. I fully trust those guys. Socrates letting you know as well. DXJC saying, have you heard about the Derek Lewis curse? Every fighter that's beaten him in the UFC has lost the next fight. Only exception is Matt Mitrio in his first UFC loss. Yeah, I think Sergey Pavlovich is going to be putting that to the test, right? I forgot who it was, but somebody brought it up to me earlier this week as well. I don't believe in that type of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think it's more so just like every fight is its own puzzle, essentially. So, like, I'm not gonna strictly pick Tai Tuivasa because Pavlovich just beat Derek Lewis. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's a fun and interesting trend to keep track of. So I understand why you brought it up. I understand that, but yeah, I think that I still think Pavlovich wins. Tio took it in the chat. What's going on, dude? Socrates saying, I'm for some reason locked on Bodog, but Bet Online doesn't do prop parlays. Yeah, that is the one downfall with Bet Online. But Bodog, you should be able to do those parlays. Besnick saying Rojo wins it. As long as it's over 1.5, I'm in. Socrates saying, I'll take whatever I can get to gamble a bit on the fights. Bingo. Beggars can't be choosers, right? JD saying Ty is a good underdog pick. It could be. Could be. That fight is so volatile. I would rather have plus money on it than take the big chalk on Pavlovich. But I think Pavlovich wins. I just think he has way too many paths to victory here for Ty. But the ultimate, trump card for heavyweights, that power. Tai Tuivasa has a tremendous amount of it as well. LR in the chat saying, chat, give me parlay if I hit. I use the winnings to get extra chica for Arriba 37 Tijuana winner. Shout out to my guy, the Tijuana killer there, LR. I'll drop a totals parlay at the end of the stream for you guys, but as I normally do, will it hit? I don't know, but my favorite props, so we'll see. William Hagmeister saying, what's up, Matt Preet? I'm confused how the Minner situation closed betting in Ontario, or was this already in play? Good luck today. I think it's just like the investigation that's going on about it, right? Like fight fixing and tampering and insider information, all that type of shit. That's how and why it affects it. So like the regulatory board up here in Ontario and Alberta, like, oh, this is a little bit fishy. Let's step back until the UFC decides to make a legit move to rectify it, right? I think that what they did yesterday by banning any fighter that chooses to still train with James Krause and compete in the UFC, banning those guys, I think that's a start, right? Like that is a step in the right direction. I'm not sure if it's the one, but still. Again, is it the right direction though? Because I feel for the guys that came up with Krause, right? The Onamas, the Molinas, like those guys, they've known Krause and trained with Krause since jump, if I'm not mistaken. So to strip those guys of their coach, I feel bad. But we'll see how that goes. Steiny says over under 9.5 high fives for Wonderboy Holland. I'm gonna go under. I'm hoping that we get like a zoned in game Wonderboy. Aaron saying that's a dope hat. Do you plan on selling merch soon? I used to a little bit. I used to do a lot of giveaways as well for like shirts, sweaters, and hats. But as the platform continues to grow, I will eventually do something with hats. I'll start selling hats at least because I love wearing them and they're like the easiest bit of merch in terms of like people that just can rock them whenever they want. Appreciate the suggestion there. Our Rogue saying Ty or Sergey. I got Sergey and Thompson parlay to bring me 170. I think Sergey wins, but tough fight. Tough fight. And I do like Thompson as well. Jimmy the Drunk saying Jones is my favorite fighter. I can guarantee he's not fighting Francis. If it's not Stipe, it's no one. I think it's going to be Francis. I may or may not have been talking to. I may or may not have been talking to Francis's coach, and that seems to be the direction that they're going in. Jimmy the Drunk saying, I just assume he's retired at this point. Exactly. I don't want to talk too much about Jones until we have ink on paper that says he's fighting on a scheduled date. Heck, even him stepping inside the cage and them locking the doors, then I'll be done to talk about Jones. What a sad story. Coming up on 3 years since this guy's fucking competed, wasting away the prime years of his life for some bullshit. Jewish Better in the chat. Never gotta apologize, my friend. Appreciate you stopping by as always. JD saying, what do you think about Valdez for a pick? I like Valdez. He's my dog of the night play. I'm not big on Levy at all. I don't understand the hype on him. Yes, technically speaking, he might end up being better than Valdez here, but Valdez is a fighter, man. This guy will come forward and he will put the pressure on you. And from anything we've seen from Natan Levy in the past, this guy does not like being pressured. Gas tank, not the greatest either. So I know a lot of people that just only looked at the Matt Frevola fight and only looked at the Patrick White fight and completely discrediting everything else that Valdez has done to earn his spot on the Contender Series and earn his spot in the UFC at plus 160. Got to take a little bit of a shot. I think he finishes in round 3. Andrew in the chat, appreciate you stopping by. Andrew saying, we are lucky enough to get 2 Bam Bams today. That is true. And they fight back to back, if I'm not mistaken. Interesting. DHJC saying Marshall round 3 sub. Rojo's last 4 losses all been round 3 subs. I don't know if Marshall has it in him to sub him that late, but again, as long as it goes over 1.5, I'm happy. Sean V in the chat saying huge step up in competition for Marshall. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Again, over 1.5. Williams saying, so is it just fights or can you bet football or basketball? Yeah, we can bet everything else, just not UFC. So like FanDuel had odds for ONE FC. Bellator goes down next week. So we'll see if any of the betting sites put odds up for that. But like it's just UFC as of now. Rex Lee in the chat saying, I need Ontario UFC betting again. You know how to do this, Rex. You already know what to do. Come on, you've been around the game long enough. Rumi Chima in the chat saying, best bet for betting in Ontario, please help. Link in the description below. 2 sites that I wholeheartedly trust since way back, since even before it got legalized. 2 links in the description below. Both sites I wholeheartedly trust, and they're big sites. Check them out. Elijah Medina saying, I have a Wonderboy plus 10.5 significant strikes opposed to Holland. What do you think? I like that. I like that. I think it's going to be hard for Holland to get output on Wonderboy and even to beat him by 10.5 strikes. That's crazy. Hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. Let me just pin a comment because I know there's going to be a lot of people coming through asking you about betting in Ontario. I got you guys. Just give me 1 second. Uh, All right, let me go ahead and pin that. I don't want to have to keep answering it every 5 minutes, guys. I know you guys don't want to keep hearing me say the same thing over and over again as well. So let me just pin that for the folks coming in. There we go. Actually, you know what? There we go. That's better. Replace pin tweet. Remove that tweet. All right. That is better. Hopefully that doesn't get me banned or booted or anything off of YouTube, but we'll see how that plays out. All right, let's get to this next question here. William Hagmeister saying, yeah, I think this is a tricky situation. I was all in on Shailan at minus 240, Shailan inside the distance plus 115. So personally, I'm interested to see what actual proof outside of big bets on Shailan round 1 KO coming in. I think it's also uh again, it's like the late line movement, right? And also the injury in which uh uh Minner went down with in the opening seconds of the fight. It's all fishy. I understand why there is an investigation going on. Sean V in the chat saying Narco Cop says Levy has Valdez covered everywhere. I again, he is the better striker. He is the better jiu-jitsu player, but like in terms of durability and finishing upside, I just don't really see it. I think Valdez is just going to push him and break him. Honestly, Andrew saying Holland by sub plus 600, maybe. Aaron saying, "What's your take on Hermanson versus Delize?" Delize is just such a fucking wild card. Like I forgot which fighter I used to say this about in the past, but Delize is like the Charlie Day, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, right? He's the wild card. You never know what you're going to get with him. Either he's going to go out there and try to grapple you up against the cage and control you for 15 minutes, like he did against Lariano Staropoli. He could go out there and just start you in the first minute, like he did against Kaldakis. Excuse me, or he just falls for leg locks and tries to leg lock you. Like you never know what you're really going to get from him. With the Hermanson side, I like the fact that he went out there and updated his game plan when he can't get guys to the ground, like he did against Chris Curtis. He stayed on his bicycle the entire time and just touched him up from distance, and and won that fight. He could do the same thing here against Delize. I think he is likely the better wrestler than Delize as well, so he might be able to land some takedowns. But like, if I were to bet that fight, which I'm not, I have my question marks about it. I'd look at the fight goes to decision or over 2.5, which is anywhere between like minus 160 and minus 120. So I'm thinking that fight goes the distance. That's probably where I'd put my money, but I'm outside of that. I want nothing to do with that fight. Black M3 in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by. DXJC saying to Lizzie putting that boy in the dirt. Maybe I won't be locking any money to it, so we'll see how that goes. Good luck to you as well, my friend. William saying, guys, are you crazy if you think Holland can take down Wonderboy? That would be wild. He could, especially if Wonderboy has fallen off. But yeah, I think Wonderboy wins. I like the underdog shot there. JD, I got you, my friend. Suki MMA in the chat saying, "Can I say thank you again, Manpreet, for the people this week? Love you, my friend. Good luck tonight." Uncle Weezy saying, "Hopefully, now that the UFC suspended Kraus, the Canadian regulatory bodies restore UFC betting in Canada immediately." I don't know if it's going to happen immediately. This is going to take a while. It's going to take a while. I'm hoping by the time the UFC comes back in the new year, I'm hoping that they have it fixed by then. We'll see. Elijah Medina saying, "What do you think about Ty plus 7.5 significant strikes to Pavlovich?" Ooh, I don't know. It could, that's not a bad bet. You know, what I mean, that's not a bad bet because he stays consistent with his leg kicks. As long as they count those as significant strikes, I see him. I see you having a chance of cashing that. Williams saying, "I'm not going to lie, RDA feels like free money. I personally think he subs Bam Bam with an interesting card. I think he wins too. I'm having trouble with the method of victory for my Action Network article. I put him to win by decision, but I feel iffy about it. Lobby CDQ in the chat saying maybe the cross syndicate will strike the Canadian bookies again on short notice. We'll see. Maybe there's some last minute shit going down. We'll see. Jimmy the Drunk saying, "Oh, I don't doubt UFC wants to make Jones versus Francis, and John could be acting interested. What I'm saying is I have zero belief it will happen until I see both guys inside the cage." Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Like, I have those frustrations as well, right? Like, I hate when people bring up Cejudo. I hate when people bring up Jones, right? Like, even Connor. Until there's pen to paper, I want nothing to do with it. Like, fuck it. I'm good. Suki Sen to Wheezy, "Do you think that's enough? I would have just did the same thing, even though the news about Cross was already floating. I'm scared. I don't know. I'm not getting my hopes up at all." Uh, LBK saying, "What's up, brother? My name's Jorge. Hope you remember me. Love the setup. Keep rolling." Ah, man. I think I remember you. I wonder why you changed your name, though. Appreciate the love. Appreciate you stopping by, though. William saying John Jones is ready. We shall see. Jake Fagan in the chat saying, "Is there a lock of the week for this card?" I ended up going old school lock of the night. And this is something that I wanted to stay away from personally. Um, but I feel like I need to pull the trigger on this one. I ended up going with the square move here. I went Rafael dos Anjos parlayed with Mark Diakese. I got minus 164 earlier this week. That's what I'm keeping tracked. Obviously, that bet has been voided because I placed it on BetMGM, but that's what I'm still sticking with. I can't take it off my BetMMA tips page, so I'm sticking with it as well. Yeah, so I'm going DKC Dos Anjos as my lock of the night this week. West Coast saying doing Kraus dirty, making an example of him. That's what it seems like. I feel bad for the guy. At worst, I hope this guy does not have to do like jail time or anything like that, because that would be horrible. Elijah Medina saying, "Do you think Jonathan Pierce gets the finish?" I do. I very much like the under 2.5 in that fight. YBB Sports Data in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by, my friend. Hope all is well with you. Saying, "I feel like Kaldakis is the most vulnerable favorite on the card. Kid seems breakable." I agree. I mean, I predicted him to win on the podcast this week, but this line has gotten out of hand that I had to take advantage of the Eric Anders side here. So, very rare situation where you see me predict one side, because I'm thinking, like, if this turns out to be a clinch fest, Dawkins has shown that he doesn't mind throwing out the damage there, even while getting controlled. And that's been Eric Anders' issue in the past. We'll see if he's fixed that. But we saw Dawkins have troubles with Phil Hawes. Phil Hawes was able to control him up against the cage, land takedowns. Maybe Eric Anders can replicate that. I will never understand why Kyle Dawkins is always a minus 200 favorite. Fumbled the bag last time. Could fumble the bag tonight as well. Hopefully I can cash my ticket. Aaron saying, "With the cross betting drama, do you think the UFC will allow to Alex Pereira to bet Brendan Shaw for charity?" The bet was Pereira beats Hamza. I don't see that fight playing out next personally. I think if they do it with the spin of like all this money is going to charity, then sure, right? And it's not like Pereira is betting on Hamza for Hamza to beat him. He's betting on himself. And if it's not like an actual wager, and the winner gets the money, as long as the money is going towards charity, I think it should be fine. I don't know if it ends up happening anyway, though, because like it's so far fetched. Why would the UFC book that fight? Makes no sense. I understand why Pereira wants it up at 205 in January, so that he doesn't have to cut back down to 185 pounds. He's a big dude. Obviously, we saw the drama that happened on weigh-in day with him before the Izzy fight. So, yeah, it makes no sense. It makes zero sense. Blind Pig Dog in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by, my friend. Never mind saying Ducati Hill is going to be a split. Where are we kidding? Possibly. That's why I'm staying away from it. Williams saying they really wanted December 10th for Jones, last pay-per-view card of the year, but Francis not ready yet, and hinting he wants to return, leaving Stipe to wait for Francis' decision. So good signs for a heavyweight. Excuse me. Well, I think that's why they want to do it in March. I knew December was going to be too quick for Jones, but it looks like Francis is all good for March. Suki saying nail on the head with fighters not being active. This roster is the biggest it's ever been. There's so many fights to make, especially for the diehards. Yes, sir. Right there. My guy Matt Moore in the chat saying I'm from Ontario and going to school in Manitoba. So I've been hammering DraftKings and making as much money as I can before going back. Good shit from you as well. Wow, Troll saying, hey, Locke, been a while. Good to see you, Lav. Again, good luck to you all. Good luck to you as well, my friend. Thomas Evans in the chat. That's my dude right there. Over in 1.5, the Nico and Marshall fight. I think under in the Nico fight. I just took Nico money line, personally speaking. And in the Marshall fight, that's the one that I took the over 1.5 in. Cody Vaughn in the chat saying, yeah, same here, Eric. The only underdog I've taken so far. I don't see Doc as subbing him, and I think that's his only path to victory. I agree. African in the chat saying, what's up, lad? Which fight are you most excited for today as a fan? Great question. Let me pull up the card again real quick here. As a fan, it's got to be the main event. Yeah, I mean, Kevin Holland, Wonderboy Thompson, that's such a great stylistic matchup that can produce a fun fight. Easily the fight that I'm looking forward to most. Phil Sire in the chat reminding you guys to hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. Appreciate the love, my friend. As a reminder, UFC 282 Lockcast will drop on Monday. There's also a Bellator card next week, so I'll probably drop that the day after that, maybe even the day before. I'll try to get it done maybe tomorrow, put it out there for you guys. But there will be a Bellator MMA Lockcast, and there will be a UFC 282 Lockcast as well. And LFA is next weekend as well. I'll only be doing a main event breakdown on YouTube. The rest of the card will be broken down on the Patreon. So plenty of MMA content coming at you guys this month. Not just Bellator and UFC, but some regional stuff as well. Monk Maddox in the chat saying, love Nicolau to win tonight. What are your thoughts on him getting a finish? Something like 4 or 5 decisions in a row. I don't like the price tag on him personally. You know, Chanel can definitely make this fight close. He's not too bad of a striker himself, but the only issue is his goddamn his durability. It's just not good. It is not good. It's very sketchy. And I think Nicolau has the power to put him down and out. So I really think that for Nicolau to win this fight and to look his price tag, he's going to have to get that knockout. So if I were to play that fight, which I'm not, the only way I'd like to go about it would be Nicolau inside the distance. That's it. MMA Prodigy in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by, my friend. Sahil. See you as well, my friend. Saying, we know Holland is going to win, right? Thompson just looks old and you believe Ty is getting knocked out. Thompson still has a damn good chance to win. That's all I'm going to say. I think Ty, you know, again, most volatile fight on the card is Ty versus Sergey. I have no bet on it. I want nothing to do with that fight. You know, forcing a bet and prediction out of me, I went with Sergey Pavlovich by decision. I think both of their power eventually nullifies itself. They're a little bit too scared to throw too much, and then just the more paths to victory are on the Sergey Pavlovich side. So over 1.5 plus 170, Sergey decision rather than his money line, I think is the better way to go. But I want nothing to do with that fight. Whitehouse Troll saying 62 watching and only 20 likes. What is happening here, guys? I know it's so hard to just click that number or that button. Just click it. Phil Sire reminding you guys to hit that thumbs up as well. Appreciate that as well. Paul saying if Schnell walks forward like a bum, then Nicolau is getting the finish. Yes, that is true. Untitled saying how many of MMA LOT and beanies you got? You got an extra one for sale. I only have one beanie, one MMA lock of the night beanie. But again, you're the second person now to ask about merch. You know, the other person asked about a hat. You're asking about the beanie. I'll try to get some in production and see if I can start getting them out there for you guys. Elijah Medina saying, what do you think of Hermanson over 61 and a half significant strikes? Man, it's very up and down about Hermanson because you can either get the performance that he had against Chris Curtis, or you can go out there and he could potentially just grapple Delize. And then, usually whenever there's strikes on the ground, they don't really count them too much for significant strikes unless you're in full mount and landing big strikes. I don't know, man. I'm thinking under. I'm going to say under because I think that Delize takedown defense is not the greatest. And then I think we see Hermanson just kind of grapple him this entire fight and doesn't really get too many significant strikes off. David Muller is saying, how's 282 looking so far? Lots of nice spots. Honestly, like I'm thinking of taking the chalk on Ankalaev. Like I really think he wins that fight. Not too much issues. Duplessis is an interesting spot as well. Dacus as an underdog. I know a lot of people think that he's just going to get knocked out by Rosenstrike, but like he has the speed and combinations to potentially do some work here against Rosenstrike too. I'll definitely be very much looking at the Salvador versus De Silva fight doesn't go to decision or under 2.5 whenever that drops. That's about it for now. Billy Quarantillo minus 165, not too bad of a spot either. But yeah, nothing sticking out to me too much as of yet. Whitehouse Troll saying, how can Kyle be back so fast after sorry, whoa, let me try that again. How can Kyle be back so fast after breaking literally his face, literally? I don't know. But I guess that's good. I'm assuming you're talking about Kyle Dacus. I'm assuming that's good if you're backing the plus money on Anders. MMA Prodigy saying who you got in Marshall Rojo and how confident are you? Not super confident. Prediction is Marshall by decision, but I like the over 1.5 there. I got at minus 160. It's around that minus 190 range now, but yeah, I lean Marshall. My only qualm is big step up in competition. Rojo can put the pressure on him, but I think that Marshall's takedowns will bail him out. But I'm hoping that this just goes over that 7.5 minute mark. If he can do that, I think we'll see a solid performance from Marshall and cash that over 1.5 ticket. MMA Prodigy saying, have Marshall in my long shot. The comp he's beating is horrible, though. Yes, that's the big qualm here, right? Rojo, not the most talented guy, though. Don't get me wrong. But he has the skills to beat a guy like Rojo, in my opinion. He just hasn't shown it yet against legitimate enough competition to warrant a bet on him at minus 170, in my opinion. Over 1.5 is the spot, though. Elijah saying, thanks for all the info. Appreciate you. Appreciate the love. All I ask, hit that like. I know you're already subscribed, but just hit that like. That's all I ask. Appreciate the love. African saying, with Molina versus Flick being canceled. Oh, is it canceled? When did it get canceled? I didn't realize it was canceled. Was it before this whole debacle or what? Crazy. Do you think Moreno dies on the crowd soil as well and loses the title fight? Well, based on his latest Instagram post where he said justice will be served and it's a picture of him hugging Kraus, maybe he dies on the hill. We shall see. Whitehouse Troll saying, wait, we already did that. YBB saying, how would Ank versus Yuri play out lock? I think, either the striking game or the takedowns. I think the complete Ankalaev game beats Yuri. Or sorry. I was thinking about, you're talking about Blachowicz. But against Yuri, takedowns, right? I think Ank is the much better takedown artist here. Glover landed a couple takedowns, and he's decent, but like Glover doesn't have that security on the feet the way that Ankalaev does, and Ankalaev can mix in those takedowns very well behind those the striking game that he has. I think we're entering the Ankalaev era, folks. I'm telling you guys, this guy is one of the most complete light heavyweights we've ever seen since maybe John Jones. Who else? Yuri, striker. Glover, aging power striker, but pure jiu-jitsu, questionable durability. Who's a champion before that? Blachowicz? I don't know. Thomas Evans saying, do you think Pierce gets it done quickly, or is Elkins tough it out to the distance? I think Pierce gets it done, of course. I'm thinking Pierce, first round. I think this does not go that long. I think he just starches him and gets him out of there. I really like the under 2.5. Hafkin saying Chris Dawkins is a legit fat 185er. He's gotten wiped out by every competent heavyweight he's fought and was losing the first round to Ancient Shamil. I'd be shocked if he wasn't face down ass up fast. I don't know, man. I think the speed advantage that Dawkins could have here could clip Rosenstrike, right? Rosenstrike just got knocked out by Volkov in June. I know Dawkins has been getting put out as well, but like, I don't think this spot warrants Rosenstrike being such a big favorite. He's low output. He has big power. That's it. Dawkins could move around him and use his speed and his combinations to his, very big success. And then from there, I think he can put his hands. I wouldn't be surprised to see Dawkins go out there and try to land takedowns, right? Plus 155 is an intriguing number to me for a heavyweight fight like that. DXJC saying, can't imagine any ref is going to let Elkins sustain a major or a serious beating on road to a lopsided decision at this point in his career. I agree. I really like the under 2.5, like I said. Buffalo on the beat saying, oh my God, I hope Rojo doesn't pull a Guido Canadian KO's Marshall. I got him parlayed. I don't know, but I'm hoping at least it goes over 1.5. That's it. MMA Prodigy saying, and Levy Ganero, I'm really confident in Levy. I guess Ganero's best path might be takedowns, but that performance against Ferfola was atrocious. Guess it's aged better a little. It's aged a little better since Matt's last win. Again, we can't hone in just on the last performance of a fighter, right? Like, we're doing ourselves a major disservice if we just go by recency bias. Give Ganero the benefit of the doubt that he's deserved his spot on the UFC roster from what he's done on the regional scene as well. Again, level of competition, very sketchy. That's the issue. But I don't know if Levy can handle the pace and pressure that Ganero is going to put on him. Like, Levy doesn't fight like Frevola. Frevola went balls to the wall right away, and he has big power in his hands. Levy, technically the better striker than Ganero, but a lot of his striking comes from his kicking karate style. And when he has it his way, he wants to drag opponents to the ground and try to get his jiu-jitsu going. But we've seen Ganero battle through adversity on the regional scene, on the contender series, and come back and still win. Levy, horrible gas tank. Not minus 200 worthy, in my opinion. I took the plus 160 on Ganero. If his durability holds up early here, I think he can drag Levy into deep waters and eventually finish him. DXJC saying Ankalaev looks like an owl. I love it. He should get a tattoo of an owl. African saying Ank must win so that we get Jamal versus Ank so you and Clint can settle the 205 beef. I would love to see that. Jamal Hill finishes Anthony Smith in February or whenever the fuck they're fighting, and then let's line up Ankalaev and Hill. But then again, we got to see where Glover and Yuri fit into all this, summer of next year. But yeah, I'd love to see Ankalaev versus Hill. One old school is saying Holtzman turns it around today. I think so. Around that minus 150 mark, I thought he was a good bet. I think the line is starting to get away from that now, but I do think he turns it around here, utilizes his athleticism, explosiveness, and power here. Good enough takedown defense, beats Guida to the punch, roughs him up, maybe finishes him. MMA Prodigy saying Elkins is way past his prime and it's showing. He's only beating bottom of the barrel guys at this point. Pierce dominates. I agree. And I think he finishes him too. Joe Tadero in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by there, saying Marshall should absolutely wrestle fuck Rojo with zero problems. That's what I'm thinking. We shall see. Over 1.5. That's all I wanted in that fight. African saying just to pile onto the Elkins shit. He looked fucking awful at the weigh-in face-offs. He looked like he was a shell-shocked World War I soldier. It was really sad. It was. Look at that. We got a Twitch comment in here trying to promote some of this shit. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about Twitch, though. DXGC saying Jamal Hill will bang Ankalaev's ass up. I disagree respectfully there, my friend. I disagree. Robot Chicken Wing saying supporting my guy Locke. Love your inside, brother. Appreciate the love as always, my friend. By the way, I believe that is a Mr. Robot avatar that you have there. A show that I will be starting in the next week or so. I mean, I'm doing this thing where I went through all my streaming services and I created like a legitimate list. Like before I would just like put like my list and just add random shows to it. But now I like cleared my list, made a new list, and I want to go through all these shows. And Mr. Robot is one of them. So very much looking forward to that. Derek Duffy in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by, my friend. Is that the Derek that I think it is? Because that last name sounds familiar. Robot Chicken Wing sings, Mr. Robert has a great show. I've heard that as well. Joe saying, any thoughts on Nunes possibly getting the decision over Yadagui? It should be a pure striking match, and on paper, Nunes has the more experience on the feet. I wouldn't put it past Yadagui to look for wrestling as well, looking for takedowns, right? This is clearly a competitive fight if it just remains striking. And kickboxing, there's no way Yadagui covers that minus 360 price tag just striking with her. So I'm not ruling out the possibility that we see her actually go for takedowns. I don't want anything to do with that price tag personally, but I do think that Yadagui wins. I think Nunes's poor gas tank will show off once again. Um, I understand people taking the shot on Nunes. I understand. She looks, contender level in the first like 6-7 minutes of her fights, but we'll see how she does against a girl like Yadagui, who solid striker, solid all around mixed martial artist as well. African saying Topuria or Bryce. This one has me scratching my head the most, man. I still don't have like a legitimate read on it. I got to do the tape on it, obviously, still, but like even pre-tape, I'm so confused because I'm trying to remember who it was that brought it up. It may have even been in the Discord, African, but like I feel like I'm being sold a bill of goods on Topuria that's not really matching up with what's on the invoice. You know what I mean? Like I've been on Topuria from way back in the day, like when he fought Brian Boulant, like that was years ago, maybe 3 years ago at this point, maybe 4 years ago, and I got him at a good price tag, and he went out there and dominated. Right, I think he was the underdog going into that fight. Now he's rounding out his skill set, one of the best, BJJ players in Spain. His striking is slowly coming along too, but like Bryce is difficult to deal with. I think we see Topuria deal with that striking decently and or the grappling decently, and then eventually, outstrike Bryce on the feet. But I don't know if I would pay chalk price on Topuria here. That's my qualm. He doesn't really have a striking game, and Topuria would likely have the striking advantage here. Scott B saying, do you think Francis Marshall should win? I think he should win. It's tough to trust that at the price tag, considering the level of competition he's going up against now. But again, I got the over 1.5 in that fight. He should win with takedowns, but Rojo is a big step up from the guys that he's been fighting on the regional scene. And I want to see him prove that first, that he can fight a guy of Rojo's caliber and still come out looking like how he's been looking on the regional scene before I trust him at that minus 170 range. Brandor in the chat saying I've got Nunes too. I feel like we haven't seen the best from her. Tough matchups, first couple fights. This one might be a tough one as well, but we'll see. Again, I can see some recency bias here, which is why Yadagui is such a big favorite in this spot. But I don't know. We'll see. I want nothing to do with that minus 365. If anybody took the big plus money on Nunes, good luck to you. I think that is the side money line wise, though. African saying kind of alarmed that Topuria gassed bad and wasn't able to accomplish much in the grappling against Lal. Yeah, that's a big question mark. Again, we can bail him out a little bit by saying that was a short notice spot for him. But yeah, we'll find out a lot about him in this fight. Robot Chicken Wing saying I picked Nunes twice, never again. Same bad cardio. She looks great in the early going. It's just how it looks when she has to deal with opposition and resistance. Jimmy the Drunk on Bryce at plus 180. I don't hate that price tag, man. That's a very solid line. African saying, yep, I have said on the Discord many times, I don't understand the hype. Insane power and aggression, but people talk about him like he's about to fuck up Volk or something. Yeah, that's the feeling that I'm getting as well. He needs to go out there and prove it. And Derek Duffy saying, who will Paddy the Baddy eventually lose to? He could lose to Jared Gooden. I don't know. I'm not sold on Paddy, but they've been matching him up pretty well thus far. Bander saying lots of make or break it for fighters on this card. Could see a lot of upsets. Yes, could happen. Robot Chicken Wing saying, Brandon, I can say that about a lot of fighters. She's easy to take down and have bad cardio. Jimmy, good to see you. Jimmy the Drunk, always happy to see him in the chat. Marco Salas saying, I get home from work Friday to watch fight face-offs to get hyped, only to see 2,500 in bets voided for the event. Yes. I'm assuming you're in Ontario or Alberta. I got you covered if you need a place to bet still. Links are in the description below. Very trusted sites, bookies, guys have been around for a while now. Check it out. Hit that referral link. I bet with the goat saying Rojo getting subbed plus 235 cash hit, half a unit on it. Well, as long as that happens over the 1.5 mark, I'll be happy. All right, now that I've caught up with the live chat, let me just quickly drop this totals parlay for you guys. I know you guys love seeing that. Let me just pull it up here. Totals parlay for tonight goes like it is a 6-legger. So again, this is just a lottery parlay. This is not a lock or anything like that. Just throw a little bit of chump change on it. Might have turned into a nice solid steak dinner for you guys. But here you go. Delidze Hermanson over 2.5. Rowe Price under 2.5. Johnson Casey over 2.5. Elkins Pierce under 2.5. Valdez Levy under 2.5. And Rojo Marshall over 1.5. Once again, Delidze Hermanson over 2.5. Rowe Price under 2.5. Johnson Casey over 2.5. Elkins Pierce under 2.5. Valdez Levy under 2.5. Rojo Marshall over 1.5. There you guys go. African saying the South African inside the distance parlay next week. No bias, trust me. Who is it? Cameron and Duplessis. I don't know about inside the distance, but I like them both money line wise. Marco saying I made a count on Bodog. Thank you for that. No problem, my friend. Hopefully we can cash some tickets. Robert Saladino in the chat saying Dawkins is a good bet. I disagree with that. I don't think he can really cross. I don't think he can cover the price tag that he's at. I think that there's good enough value on Anders to take the shot there. JB saying Topuria would beat Paddy. I thought that fight was happening a week ago, but I got mistaken. I think Topuria beats Paddy. I agree with that. Robot Chicken Wings saying Thug Nasty might have better cardio, but I'm rolling with Topuria better hands. Yes. But will the hands be as good as he starts to hop off that cardio after the gas starts leaking a little bit? That's the question. Tough fight to call. We got 5 minutes in the Fight Day live chat here. Again, appreciate everybody that's been coming out and showing support. Hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Excuse me. Again, if you're looking for, if all your bets got voided on the licensed bookies, the offshore bookies are there for you guys still. Links to 2 of the best of them are in the description below. Check it out. Robert's saying Anders is in slow motion and gets worse and worse each fight. Age versus youth, possible. I get it, but Doc is like, the Phil Hawes fight is the one that sticks out to me the most. He gets controlled up against the cage, taken down without much issue. Yes, he landed good damage and all that, but like getting controlled by Phil Hawes. Eric Anders, just as strong, maybe not as good of a technical wrestler as Phil Hawes, but like he will have success doing what he wants to do if it's going to be all strength based. And Dawkins is no killer when it comes to his striking. Dawkins is a good BJJ player. Maybe you might get a submission, but is he Andre Muniz level in terms of submissions and being that offensive minded? I don't know. At minus 220, whatever the fuck he's at now, I don't think it's a good play personally. He could still win. Don't get me wrong. Well, we'll see. Robert's saying Hawes would murder Anders. And we can't do that. We can't do this MMA math thing, my friend. We know this by now. We know this. But yeah, By all means, go ahead and bet the chalk on Dawkins. And I'm saying this respectfully, my friend. But I don't think that chalk is worth it, personally speaking. Bet with the goat saying Argentina versus Australia. You bet on that game? No, I am not a soccer guy whatsoever. So I'm not going to front like I am. Travis Duarte saying, according to a certain MMA fighter on win streak, he has a bunch of upsets today. A certain MMA fighter on win streak. Which certain MMA fighter is that? Road saying, I'm taking Anders Dawkins as chump. I agree. African saying, this is one I have been meaning to ask about. Parent versus the 18-year-old kid. Assuming you haven't taped it yet. Very weird to see an actual kid in the UFC. Yes, I haven't taped it yet, but I do think that his control is going to be a little bit too much for Perron to deal with. Now, this is coming from a guy that backed Perron as an underdog against Arichi Lang in his last fight. I thought he'd be able to get takedowns and get that control. He got some takedowns, just couldn't do much with it. Rosas Jr., though, that kid looks like he has solid jiu-jitsu as well. So he might be able to get those takedowns and get the control. The price tag might be a little bit unbettable, though, right? Minus 240. Say what you want about Perron, but like, I don't know. DXJC saying, thoughts on Nico Price being shot born at this point in his career? I disagree. I disagree. You know, he's going up against a somewhat green fighter here in Phil Rowe, in my opinion. Phil will obviously have the technical striking advantage here, but I'm not sure if he's ready to go to war with Nico Price the way that he is. He had a war against Gabe Green, came up short in that fight. Maybe Nico Price finds the same success here by just pushing him and maybe breaking him, maybe finishing him as well. But I ended up taking the money line on Price around minus 138, I think it was. Brandor with the $5 dono. Appreciate the love, my friend. Can't wait for the fights. Let's go. Got a big parlay going. Good luck, my friend. Hopefully you're able to catch it. Okay, saying Kyle has more of a chance to beat Eric than Chris Fat has to beat Rose. According to the odds, sure. I don't know. I'm so sketched out by those Dawkins brothers. We'll see how it goes. G-Man in the chat saying this is a great card. Yes, it is. As a fight night card, solid card put together here. All right, I got 2 more minutes left with you guys. Appreciate everybody hanging out for this last hour or so. I'm going to get back to work. I got a couple more Bellator breakdowns that I want to get done before the fights start kicking off. So if you're on the Patreon, look for a notification with some more Bellator breakdowns for you guys. Another opportunity to plug the Tape Index Plus, which also dropped recently. We're covering LFA, CFFC, Cage Warriors, and Fury FC on LFA. On the Tape Index. So if you like doing your own research, don't worry, you will no longer have to scour the web for all the footage. We have it all on the Tape Index for you guys. So make sure you check that out. Manny Ravuru in the chat saying, give me lock parlay, fam. My lock of the night play is Mark T. Casey and Rafael Dos Anjos. I'm sure that parlay is roughly around minus 200 at this point. Maybe throwing in Jonathan Pierce inside the distance will make it better. But as my official lock that I play, I got 5 units on DKC and Dos Anjos parlay together. Before saying Dawkins is the Chase Super of his division, I disagree with that. I do not think that is correct. Robot Chicken Wing saying, enjoy the fights, lock. You as well, my friend Roberto. Thank you. Good luck. Good luck to you as well. Again, Dawkins might win. I'm not trying to talk you off a cliff here. I'm just trying to give you my personal opinion. I think the line is a little bit too wide. I predicted him to win this fight, right? I predicted that he could, outland Eric Anders while Anders is trying to control him and get those positions. But like as this line starts to get wider and wider, you got to take a little bit of a shot on Anders here. All right. We are at 2:00. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Good luck on your bets tonight. Next podcast drops on Monday, UFC 282 MMA Lockcast. Stay tuned for that. Big fight week coming up. 3 cards next week. LFA, Bellator, UFC 282. I'll be covering all those for you guys. Good luck tonight, folks. Peace out.